This one goes out to our old pal, Nakasuchi. We hope you're doing alright, buddy. Enjoy the music. Hey everybody, what's going on? How you doing? That's good. I'm glad. I'm happy for you. We got stuff going on today. I hope you enjoyed the music. Isn't it wonderful? There's a slight delay for everybody, so I gotta give everybody a second to catch up. Yeah, actually, that's not how that works. Anyway, I have the shirt. It finally came. Give me one sec. Let me get some proper lighting in here. That's actually almost not better at all. It's actually almost terrible. But look what I got. I know my fucking trash pile is just full of fucking garbage. We've got some other stuff we're going to look at today, but this is the first thing. That's the most important thing. So let me just fucking... Oh man, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. Anyway, I'm going to open this. Oh, it smells like fucking paint thinner. Oh, anyway, here it is. Oh, man, that's beautiful. Hanes tagless. Wonderful. It's a little stiff. It needs to be broken in. But here's the front of the shirt that everyone's seen for a couple of days now. It's fucking wonderful, isn't it? But here's what you didn't see. It's a fucking Brett Keane on the back. Because nobody's gonna know who the fuck this is in your town, and then this is a conversational piece. So I'm gonna fucking give me one sec. I'm gonna take my fat ass. I should probably launder this first, but fuck it. I'm not gonna probably get all kinds of garbage in my fucking skin. But I'm a smoker, so fuck it. I mean, I'm taking a risk just fucking existing. It's only a matter of time before the Muslim Brotherhood comes to my house again and tries to cap my ass. I know. Look at this. Look at that. A little bit of titty for you in the morning. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, man. Oh. Bigoted. This will stretch out a little bit, I hope. It's a little stiff. Send it to the laundry. Oh, yeah. Let's take a good fucking... Look at that. Look at that. fucking wonderful. I got the old Keenster's approval to sell this too, so we're gonna have fucking Brett Keen's face on a t-shirt like this. It says bigoted. Actually, this is very itchy right now. I would recommend washing this. I'm gonna take it off again. But anyway, there it is. That's the fucking shirt. Also, it's about 1,000,000 fucking degrees in here. I might just fucking... This isn't kosher. What are you doing, Will? The fuck is the matter with you, you dumb bastard? Anyway, that's the shirt. There's gonna be one just like that with John's face on it. This is hateful. And mine's gonna say rough. And then we'll probably have one with Von Helton, something about a stick or something. I'm not sure. But they're all going up on t-shirts. Go get the fucking shirts when they become available. Should be ready in June. On where all good t-shirts are sold. But I do want to point out a couple of things. So this is a North American wasp. This is about a little over an inch, about 1.5 inch wingspan. And let me see if I can get him down there. This is mean. Alright. This motherfucker right here, he's, well, probably more likely she, is 1.75 inches. No, this is not a murder hornet. This is a European hornet. It's not indigenous to North America. However, it is the only true hornet in North America. So, a lot of people, and I wanted to show that because John and everybody else aren't going to be able to see that when we go into the Discord, which we're about to do in about a minute. I wanted people to see that because people were freaking out about these fucking Asiatic, Japanese murder hornets. The queen is only 2 inches long. Alright? The queen is generally, when it comes to Bombidae and Vespidae, is the largest of the colony. So, to give you an idea, the wingspan of the queen is 3 inches long. The wingspan of this big bastard is going on almost 4 inches completely end to end. So, I mean, when they finally get here, when the Jap hornets finally get here, they're fucked because our hornets are much bigger, and they're almost bigger than the queen, and that's a full-size adult, and there's tons of them around here. You want to know where I found that motherfucker? Spinning around in the fucking window here, trapped. I guess the murder hornets are more aggressive. But anyway, I wanted to address that. I'll continue to grab little bastards like this for shows and stuff just to show off the neat little fucking insects that plague this area. To be fair, the bumblebees around here are much bigger in both body mass and length and wingspan than the than any of these fucking hornets or wasps. A little bit of Evan Williams in the morning. Just a little nipper. Anyway, we're going to open it up to the Discord now. I want to thank everyone again for coming on in. Taking a look at the t-shirts. 10 days, 23 hours, 53 minutes, 14 seconds. Wonderful. And I'm joined by John and Lo, as per usual. Buddies. Bestest buddies. The stream's lagging, I don't know why. But I'm going to fix it. So just keep talking, it's all good. Ocean Man. Anyway. Did you like the t-shirt, fucker?
Yeah, I thought the t-shirt was pretty good. Pretty spot on. It came out nice.
Yeah, it's a little rigid. It's got a lot of... It's not like the other one where it was a lighter material shirt. This is why I'm glad I do proofs of these. It's a lighter material shirt and it didn't have so much ink on it. But this one was covered in fucking ink. So it really needs to be washed before you wear it. That's the only thing I'll say about that when people actually get their shirts. Definitely wash it.
Teespring makes some really nice shit.
Yeah, I like the quality of the product, but that was a little rough. So we'll get that fixed before it goes out to people. I'm not going to sell people a piece of shit fucking product. Like other lesser YouTube channel hosts. So, anyway, Lo, how are you doing? Are you well?
I'm lovely. How are you?
Oh, I'm just wonderful.
You left drunk.
You what? Yeah, less drunk. Well, I had to get a little bit in me. I'm out of mouthwash. So I just use whiskey. And I say a l'chaim, and because that's what adults do. I gotta stop using this chair. All you hear is that I rock like a fucking caged elephant. It's like, stop it. Get some help. But we do actually have things that we're gonna listen to today. I sent John this fucking video, and I've already got it set to the timestamp, so I'm just gonna fucking move it in. John, are you ready? Are you ready to address this?
Yeah, let's do the film.
MC Jonathan, take the motherfucking mic. Tell us what you got to say about this fucked up incident. Here we go.
Churches essential services.
Oh, hold on, let me roll it back.
Donald Trump declared churches essential services when he ripped the governors for leaving the states closed and ordered them to be considered essential services and opened immediately. Because if Donald Trump needs help, he's going to be calling on those right-wing Christians. He needs their vote. They put him in the first go-around. He needs them now. This is pandering of the highest order. You know what? If we're supposed to believe that God and Jesus are everywhere, we don't need a fucking church to pray. You don't need a fucking church to get close to your God. Okay? God didn't have churches. Man built churches. God didn't have the biggest art collection in the world. That's the Vatican.
Alright, so I wanted to talk specifically about this from a Jewish perspective. John, how do you feel about that bullshit? When it comes to...
I think synagogues are an essential service because most people don't realize what goes into, and that even in the churches, I mean, people get food, people get help. I know people think that the pastor fleeces everyone, and in the Catholic Church all they do is rape boys, which is true. I mean, the Catholic Church does rape boys, and the pastor, is probably a homosexual. But they also give charity. I mean, the Catholic Church does do a lot of good things, I mean, they go around the world, helping people. So it's like, and then but I guess that's not really that's kind of like a mute point, because what she's talking about is like going every Sunday, listening to some idiot, ramble on. Is that exactly essential? I mean, is she technically right? Is baby Jesus everywhere? I mean, according to the Christians, yeah, baby Jesus is everywhere. So.
Well, I thought you'd have more hate, because, like, fucking going to synagogue and shit is, like,
I'm worn out from last night, man. I gave it to Brett really hard, and I wish Brett was, like, more tolerable. I wish Brett wasn't such a bigot, but, it is what it is.
What do you mean? What the fuck? What are you talking about specifically? Coming with the heat with the Jesus shit?
Yeah, I mean, he knows that the Jesus topic is a hateful topic, so I don't know why he has to bring that up.
Yeah, this will be like the third or fourth time that we've gone through this rigmarole with fucking Jesus. That's how me and Lo met. We both got fucking kicked out of his Discord for talking shit about how Jesus isn't real. But you said it last night and nothing happened. Except for he ended the live stream and I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
I don't know why he brings it up either, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there's not really much to add to that. I mean, maybe he does it to start controversy. He knows we're Jewish and we're going to say something rough, I guess. I don't know.
I don't fucking know.
I'm not in the guy's head. I don't know.
I was surprised that Vaughn took our side, to be honest with you.
Well, Vaughn's a reasonable person. He's not a button head like the rest of them. Yeah, is Vaughn helping fucking nutty ear and squirrel shit? Yeah, I'll say it.
Yeah.
fucking nuttier than squirrel shit, but he's also kind of like, he'll try to be somewhat rational when it makes sense, and he understands that. He understands that Jews do not believe that God's a thing or a person or an entity. Like, he understands that. I mean, I think most people should understand that by now. I mean, I don't know why the Christians don't understand why we would never accept Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior when we have Hashem as our Lord and Savior. So it doesn't really, we don't need it. We don't need Jesus. We don't need someone to die for us because Hashem loves us and he doesn't need us to believe in something to die for us. You know what I mean? It's stupid. It really is.
Yeah. I'm waiting for our views to get down so I can talk shit. Because I know that nobody watches past like a couple of minutes. Let the fucking Shay idiot. Because there was more shit that went on after you went to fucking Betty by.
Oh, well, yeah. What happened?
The kid.
Just run your mouth, man. Don't worry about the views. Just run your mouth.
No, I know. Well, no, I was just. It's funny because they watch and they come in for a few seconds to see if I'm going to talk shit. And then they fucking leave. So I like proving a point that they're not going to watch a whole fucking thing to the end. Oh, it's this one guy. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Wow, really close. Oh, no, you know what it is? It's because my volumes are set. Yeah.
Your mic was like super loud eating over in my mic. I was like, God damn, I had to turn down my headphone. It should be good now. I turned it down.
Yeah, I can balance my audio. It's good. There we go. That's probably a little bit better. I just try to keep it a little bit higher so that the sound quality comes out a little bit better, and all you have to do is turn it down. But anyway, no, fucking I'm running gay ops on fucking Shay. I got no beef with fucking Knock. We bust his balls about him fucking, he, you know what, John, he called me out about that fucking vascular disease joke. That's what it was. About how his dick's gonna fall off or whatever. And he was busting my ass.
If he doesn't use it, right? If he doesn't use it, of course it's gonna fall off. You don't use it, you lose it.
Right, exactly.
I'm joking.
Well, anyway, yeah, I know I'm being facetious, but he was taking me to task over something that John had said. And I was like, well, first of all, John said it. Well, second of all, it was a fucking joke. We're just busting your fucking chops. You think that's funny? And I said, under the circumstances, yeah, I thought it was hilarious. I did not lie. I did not tell a lie to save face. But that's not what I got kicked out for. I got kicked out because Shay doesn't like me, and Shay's a mod over there. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
over on Nakasuchi's server on Discord.
Oh, it's Discord. Yeah, I haven't been there since the day I left.
Yeah.
It's a cesspool of people with too much integrity and pride.
Yeah.
With care of others, it's just they care more about themselves than they do others, which necessarily isn't a problem. It's just it seems that they're all about elevation. It's like high school.
Oh yeah.
That popularity club bull crap.
Yeah.
Which I don't have a problem with. I'm just saying it's not my crowd.
Right.
I don't have a problem with them. I'm actually trying to get back into.
Correct. You're like, well, I don't like the high school thing. Not to say that's wrong. Oh, I don't like that
because I don't pass judgment on people like that. That's why.
Alright.
So, yeah.
We get it. This one guy, you're better than us. I know. It's okay.
No, I wouldn't say that.
I know you wouldn't. That's the joke.
Fine. You know what? I am better than you piece of shit. There.
Fucking Anna Kasparian over here. I'm fucking better than you.
I'm fucking better than you by not piece of shit. Self-proven. No, but I think I'm just being political because I'm really high right now.
No,
But
that's good.
no, I don't have a problem with them because I'm only saying, and the only reason why I'm being so politically correct is because I know they're politically correct. So I'm trying to adapt to their terms and understanding, so they don't think, hey, this guy's an asshole.
Well,
If
yeah,
you
but
assume someone's an asshole to you and they don't like you, tend to act differently. So
yeah,
I'm only saying it just to appease them.
I used to play that game with him, but I'm so fucking beyond giving a shit about playing their fucking games because that's what it is, a game. So I set up a little game of my own, and it's like a little fucking time bomb. Say, because I'm somewhere between a complete moron and a Machiavellian genius to them. So what I've done is I've set up a series of landmines all over the fucking place that are just getting ready to go off. And I was telling Lo last night because I was very drunk. I've got trans army waiting at the gates of oblivion. Just cross the line. Just cross it. But we're more like the Oregonians. We don't wait for the Daedra to come out. We fucking run straight in. That's a true statement.
Leroy Jenkins it, yep.
Yeah. We're running straight into the gates of fucking hell. We don't give a shit. We're gonna go kill some fucking demons. We got Doom Guy, aka Lovesick Low. So, very good. But is everyone enjoying their Memorial Day weekend?
I gotta work though, a little bit. Nice and sore about ready. Waiting for my phone to charge and I'm gonna go.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta work tonight too, but I got all the rest of the day off. The fucking my mother-in-law's in what the fuck is it called? The fucking association, the homeowners association, and they got their own their little community has their own private pool and the thing, but it's not open for fucking Memorial Day weekend. What the fuck is that shit?
Oh, they're social distancing.
Oh yeah. That's why I didn't even think, because everyone's just fucking ignoring it here, so I
Dude,
forget sometimes.
Oh my god, that's fucking insane. We have that, like, it's like that in parts of Illinois. Like, if you go over to Naperville and fucking, like, Bolingbrook area, everyone's walking around in the streets like ain't shit going on, not wearing masks or nothing. Like, they just continue with life like it's fucking normal. And then you go, like 60 miles down south, motherfuckers barely anyone in the street, and people have masks. My state is divided as shit, and like it seems like the richer part, like the people with most money, are the ones ignoring the rules, while everyone who's like younger is like, fuck no, I ain't taking the chance getting sick, you know, in the sub.
Well, motherfuckers gotta work for a living, you know. But I don't care, because I get fucking paid time off and the whole thing if I get Rona. I heard.
Technically, right now I could be working and collecting unemployment.
Yeah, I know, and that's the thing too, is that like I don't fucking worry about it. It's not. It's like, oh, what if you give it to fucking grandma? Like, these fucking
God,
it's like
grandma with me too.
Yeah, I know, but fucking grandma should stay home. Unless you're living with grandma, you shouldn't fucking worry about it. What about fucking immunosuppressed people? Cause I got fucking lupus, and my wife has got every goddamn thing wrong on the book with her, and we don't give a shit. We smoke, so to be honest with you,
yeah,
it's we take
closer to God, right?
Right. we fucking gamble with the rules of logic and reasoning all the time. Plus, half my family is like fucking immortal. I feel my aunt's fucking 500 pounds and fucking. She's maybe like, I don't know, 5.5.
Grazing there.
No, she's like 5.5. Yeah, she's like 5.5 feet tall. She's like a fucking like a triceratops.
Hobbit.
And she just urinates on herself and it's gross. She's a fucking hoarder. Well, she's older than fucking. She's older than fucking Methuselah. She just refuses to fucking die. She eats 100 fucking cheeseburgers a day or some nonsense. Like the fact that you can. Like, I don't know how she's eating right now because she doesn't have the internet, nor does she understand how the internet works. So, she doesn't understand that you have to have an app to order from a lot of these fucking places, right? So, I imagine she's probably either having to figure out how to microwave shit, or she's starving to death, and then I'll finally get my money. She's a bitch. I'm sorry. I don't wish death on anyone, but, you know, that natural causes will be the cause of death at any rate.
Enough for me, at any rate, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I'm a patient motherfucker, and I can wait it out longer than them. And if God takes them before anything, that's good enough for me. They'll die eventually. I'm like, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, you know, I take comfort in the fact that if you just wait long enough, eventually the people you don't like will die, or you'll die and you won't have to deal with them anymore. So, I mean, that's the.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
That's very optimistic.
Yeah, you gotta take the bad with the good.
Or die, or they'll die first. Either way, someone's gonna die.
Yeah. Baruch Hashem. I don't know, is that a mitzvah? Isn't dying a mitzvah?
Dying is a mitzvah, no?
Yeah. See, there you go.
Well, I don't know what mitzvah means because I don't speak the old language.
John, you wanna fucking contribute here? What's a mitzvah?
Would be something that God commands us to do.
Yeah, there you go. It's a good thing to do.
So, John, I have to ask you a question because you're a Jew and all that, and well, I wouldn't know if you knew much about it either. But so I guess I can ask you. But what do you think of the last bit of Deuteronomy from like 27 to about like 30? I've been going over it, and the more I like read in, the Bible's version or whatever, I guess you can say. Can't really read the Hebrew, so I'm kind of screwed there. But anyway, um, it seems to be more or less like a contract going on between an individual and the Israelite people themselves. At the end of these three chapters, and it's quite interesting. It's right before they go into said promised land or something like that. They're crossing over the Jordan or something like that, or into Jordan. I don't know which one. It's either like the Jordan River or Jordan into the state Jordan, however big it was back then. But it mentions the spots that it's where this takes place. It's like two mountain peaks and a little valley as the people cross over. But it seems like because you have like the Levites, you have six of the tribes on one side of the mountain and the other six, and then they're throwing blessings. The Levites and them are throwing blessings, and then the other ones are throwing the curses. Um, but it seems more or less like a contract in that sense, especially when um like it's like this there's a verse along in there that goes I let this day the heaven and stars or something on heaven and earth be like a testament to this day and this oath that I take with the Lord saying that to the people. So do you think more or less it was like a contract for the people, or the contract still holds if that instance, if you can even see it as a
Like it's like
contract
this. There's a verse along in
with
there.
people?
That's a good question. So Deuteronomy was all it was apparently a 37-day speech of Moses. It was his final like farewell address, and the two mountains that you speak of, they were really, I guess, mountains or hills or
Yeah,
valleys, whatever.
really hills, really, yeah.
The hill of the mountain of Jacob, the one supposed to be the mountain of Abraham, according to Judaism, according to the Talmud, and
Okay.
and you know, it's a contract. A sort of, it's reaffirming the covenant that God established at Mount Sinai. But it's just you got to realize that Deuteronomy is from his perspective. So I guess you could say that Leviticus and Numbers is sort of like God history or historicity or somewhat history, and
Hmm.
Genesis would be from Moses' point of view. I mean, obviously Moses wrote Genesis and he wasn't there. I mean, and then Deuteronomy would be his opinions and his version, because Deuteronomy just retells the story of Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers. It just retells the story over, and sometimes the stories are different. Um, when um, the testimonial tablets when they stood at Mount Sinai and it was received the Ten Commandments. Moses tells it a different way. I mean, I don't really exactly remember what chapter that is, but from my recollection, he does it differently, and so yeah, it's really it's not it's really if to answer your question, it's really Moses is reiterating the contract that he is setting up with God. I guess I guess is that what you were trying to ask? Was it more like a people making a contract with other people? I mean,
No. Okay, so between it's a contract between like God and the people of Israel about ready before they go into the promised land, with Joshua, because Moses isn't allowed to go over. So
right,
before this happens, they start, they get uncut stones. I don't know how big or whatever.
right,
They get
right.
these, and they throw the plasters on them, and
Yeah,
they post a law on them, the
yeah.
laws of and post it, and then everyone takes an agreement, the blessings and the curse and the I we agree, amen, that you see in the Bible. And then
That would be biblical. So biblically, that's what they would have done. They would have wrote the whole, all of what the Torah is really just the commandments, right? It's not really the stories and the commandments. Like Torah has nothing to do with Adam and Eve talking to snakes and Noah's flood. That doesn't have anything to do with that. Torah would be, saying blessings and not mixing fiber, not mixing milk and meat and stuff like this. So what they would have done is they put a plastered the commandments or laws on these stone hewns, and they would have placed it around Israel and the entrance to the city. You would have had to agree to the terms of service, sort of like a TOS. You would have, if you were a non-Jew and you were traveling, you would have had to accept the terms of the contract. This is what it would have been done biblically. Like it would have you would have been easy. Conversion took place immediately in the older world, because the laws that you believed in was dictated by the God you believed in. So if you believed in Hashem, you believed in the God of the Jewish people, God of Israel, you would have been a Jew. That's how it worked, right? If you were a Canaanite, you would have believed in Malach and Baal Peor, and right. If you were right, you would have believed in their gods, and you would have. So to convert, it would have just simply just be, oh, okay, accept God, boom, you converted. Now you do His will, boom, done. But now that's the olden way. Nowadays, what they establish is that you become a Noahide. So instead of non-Jews, traveling through Israel or entering and re-entering, they would have been Noahide. That's kind of like where that comes in. Like, I know that's a side point, and that's not really what you're asking, but that's kind of like how it was set up. It was set up as a terms of service agreement. If you're going to be a sojourner in this land, you would have had to know, and it would have been given to you on the entrance, and you would have seen it on the way in. Like that. That's how they established that.
I can see that, yeah. But what do you think when it comes to like with the curses, the implemented from God in those that terms of service? Like it seems like more. It's not like the people making the terms up. It's because some of the things I don't think the people would be able to inflict underneath the law. Like your children will be departed from you, and there's just these
I think it just makes logical
curses
sense.
of it.
I think it makes logical sense when you read the Shema, right? And you're reading the Shema prayer. Like, oh yeah, I'll open it up. Give me a second. I'm gonna open up the blessings and the curses here. I'm gonna open up my prayer book. Um, sorry about that. It takes like a second to load. Okay,
Oh, you're
here.
fine.
Let's see, where the Shema prayer. Okay, so if you say the Shema prayer, it says, "You shall love the Lord." It makes logical sense. Think about it. Listen to what it says. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be upon your heart, and you shall teach them thoroughly to your children when you speak to them, when you sit down in the house, when you walk down the road, when you lie down and rise. You shall bind them as a sign upon your hand and a reminder between your eyes. They shall write them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. If it be your will, and if you diligently obey my commandments, which I give you this day, to love the Lord your God and serve him in your heart and in your soul, I will give you rain in the land and the proper time. So here's the blessings. God's going to give you rain. God's going to give you early rain, late rain. Your grass will grow, your grain will grow, your wine, you will have oil, you'll have cattle, your cattle will eat and be sated. And then it says, listen, lest your heart be lured away and turn and worship the non-Jewish gods and bow down to them. For the Lord's wrath will flare up against you, and he will close the heavens, and there will be no rain, and there'll be no earth to produce. The earth will not yield produce, and then you will swiftly perish from the good land the Lord gives you. So it makes logical sense, right? So if you're flourishing and you're doing the right thing, everything will go well. You're gonna have rain, and because you have rain, the grass grows. Because the grass grows, the cows get fed. Because the cows get fed, you have food to eat. And because you have food to eat, you have children. Because you have children, you'll be happy, and you have generations and generations. But if you're not doing the right thing, right? If you're acting like a crazy person, right? And everything is going wrong, the curses are, well, the rain won't come. And because the rain won't come, you won't have cattle. And because you don't have cattle, you don't have food. And because you don't have food, you're gonna die. Because you die, you don't have family. Because you don't have a family, you don't have a nation. So it's just a what's the secular term? for every action, there's an equal
Is a reaction, yeah.
So it's a fluid motion. So if you're acting like a decent person and you're making sense of things, then everything's going to sort of work it on its own. And that's what these blessings and curses are sort of. That's what Moses is trying to say. Moses is saying it that the system is set up in a way where I gave you the whole sojourning in the desert for 40 years was sort of like boot camp. Okay, Moses is telling them, okay, now the training wheels are off. You're not going to have God giving you food every morning and every night. You're not going to have the waters of the spring up when you need thirst. You're not going to have that. You're going to actually have to work this land. You're going into the land of Israel, and now you're physically going to have jobs. You're going to have to be water carriers and wood choppers. You're going to have to plant, and you have to sow, and you have to reap. So Moses is saying, look, be a rational, decent human being. Treat the earth well, and it will yield produce. If you don't, if you're at war and you're hating and you're killing and you're raping and you're plundering and you pillage, the earth will split you out. It will vomit you out. I mean, that's what it says. God says, I will spit you out. I will vomit you out of the land. And that's because think about what vomiting means. It means that you put something in your stomach that shouldn't be there, right? So if you're going to this new land and you're putting things there that shouldn't be there, you're going to be thrown out. So that's really what the curses are. The curses are like a natural thing that will happen. Not that God is. It does seem like it's a punishment, but really sometimes a punishment is a reward, and a reward is really a punishment because.
Well, the way I see him, and not necessarily that it's a punishment or anything. It's just the conditions between the contract. Like if you break the lease of the contract, these are the things that will happen that you will incur. Like if you break your lease, you have to pay whatever on your rent still, or whatever you owe for the following year. If you break your lease, or something along those lines. Like they're just, I see them as natural repercussions of actions when you decide not to follow this certain terms of service, this way of interacting and living with people.
Exactly. If you're not playing right, if you're not playing by the rules, then there's gonna be consequences. It makes sense. Like it makes sense that after 6 years you shall harvest the land. In the 7th year you let it let it go fallow. It makes sense that if you did every year and you just at the same year just keep reaping plants and you just do it every year over and over again for 20 years in a row, it makes sense that the earth is going to be so devoid of nutrients and vitamins that next year you're not going to have a crop. So it makes sense that you would have a rest, right? It makes sense that 6 days you work and the 7th you rest, because you're going to burn yourself out. If you just go nonstop every day, work, you're going to eventually burn yourself out. It's just natural. It's not that you're going to be split out. You're going to lose your crops. It's like God's going to make your crops grow bad because it's a punishment. No, it's a natural thing that happens.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
It's like it says, the sky and will be like bronze, and the earth will be like iron, right? Think about what that means. It means that it's going to be completely shut off. It's going to be you're not going to get anything from it. You're not going to be able to reap any sort of harvest because you completely abuse nature. You abuse the earth. So you're not going to survive. So so all these commandments, think about it. They're agricultural commandments, right? All of this has to do with fruit trees and planting and reaping and how you treat your workers, right? These are laws that have to do with land and agriculture, right? So nowadays we don't have this problem, right? We're all, we live in a modern day society, so the laws are lost. The laws are not applicable in a way. So we make up, everyone wants to make up spiritual meanings for these reasons. And well, it must have been spiritual, so God must do this now. No, it's just a logical thing. Anyway.
Yeah. Sorry for you to kind of derail the show, Will. Thank you for that.
Is Will still here? Did he hang himself in the closet?
I think he hanged himself. He's
He'll
like,
be
shit.
right back.
He's having a moment. He needs a He needs some will time.
But yeah, just as we wait for Will to come back, I think that I think people overlook sometimes. I think Jews do it too. I think the problem with today is that Jews, Christians, Muslims, I think everyone does it, is that we try to look for hidden meanings into the text, and we make the text into something more important than what it really is. Yes, the Torah is a very important document. It's the Constitution of Israel. But I mean, it's like trying to find like some spiritual hidden meaning in the Constitution of the United States. What does the right to bear arms really mean? Oh, it means spiritually. It means spiritually this. Like it'd be just as silly to do that, to do the same thing with the Torah. So try to find the answer from a logical, reasonable perspective, and that answer usually makes more sense than the spiritual. Um, you know, but yeah, I mean, again, we'll hopefully we'll be back here. I don't want dead ears, so I don't know if I should just keep talking or.
Yeah.
Oh no, I just didn't know how long you were gonna go on for, so I thought I'd pop out for a cigarette about halfway through. So
Okay.
I was listening on the outside. Don't worry, it was very interesting. But I'll tell you, yeah, don't worry. Fucking in lieu of
I wasn't worrying.
No, it's good. It's good to answer people's fucking questions. You don't get that. You don't get a straight fucking answer out of a lot of people. You know what I mean? They say, technically, yeah, and then you get fucking.
That's true. Two Jews, three opinions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My wife doesn't come home anymore. But what do you think that means? Well, I think it seems so. Oh, really? Why? Why do you think? It's just like psychiatry. It's stupid.
Yeah. But that was, I can't wait to get back to fucking work. Because it speeds up the time in between. Plus, it keeps me motivated to do other things with the. You taking off?
No, I said, oh, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't hear. Yeah, because I'm ready to get back to work on the channel. We got another channel. I haven't promoted it just yet. I can get the link. I'll probably drop it in the what's it called, the description of this video, and then I'll drop it in the I'll drop it in the comments, and I'll drop it here now. I just gotta go looking for it.
The fucking link, modern.
Games You Love. We've taken back Games You Love. It's official. It's officially mine and John's. Brett did a video this morning announcing officially, and he'll come and he'll do little cameos and stuff he's thinking about. But it's gonna be me and John, and we're gonna co-own that channel. Where the fuck is the link button?
That video. I mean, Brett's doing this video where he's like promoting everything, right? He's promoting the channel and stuff. These are my favorite atheists.
He starts with his atheist.
Then he talks about me and you, and it's like this little shitty fucking 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know, I saw. And that's the thing, too, is that fucking... We gave him $120 combined. You gave him $100, I gave him $20 last night. So his channel's officially owned by the Jews. He's been taken over.
I don't think we can honestly say that. I mean, the Amazing Atheist paid him, $5 grand, $10 grand. I mean, if anyone owns it, it's really fucking TJ runs that shit. I mean, if you want to be honest.
Well, I know, but we're giving him, what's the word?
Currently, I guess. I mean,
we're giving him Parnassa. We're giving him Parnash. We're giving him consistent work, right? That was a one-time payment. That's over. That's gone. That money's gone. We're keeping Dawn in modest new dresses here. So I mean, to be honest, I think that we, because they say, Brett Keane's taking money from the Christians or whatever. Nah, it's the Jews now. We've taken over. We take over everything. We own it. Still trying to find that.
Let it go on the Jubilee.
I'm a Jew believer.
Yeah.
I saw Hashem, a non-believer. Let's see. I can't find the fucking link.
I wanted to ask, y'all ever heard what happened to the messenger revealed? Because I know he goes around knocks and all that.
No, but I'll tell you what. He doesn't like. I busted his chops. I'd like him to come on here and be a regular fucking guy and talk his crazy shit too. I like Von Helton to come and play with us, and Brett and everybody else. I know that Brett doesn't have Discord. I don't know what the fuck Von's doing. If
This is the difference between Christians and other people, though, because you know, Vaughn, yeah, he doesn't believe what you believe, right? But he understands that you have the right to believe in it. But people like Messenger Reveal, and I don't mean this to be offensive, but Christians, it's either you accept what they believe exactly, or else you're a bad person going to hell. And it's just like every time I tried talking to Messenger Reveal as like an individual, but it's like, well, you're a Jew, you don't accept your own Messiah, you're mud and head, you're lost, you're going there. It's like, why I can't have a dialogue with that type of person. But with Vaughn's like, yeah, I believe in the gods, and you believe in your gods, and we have different opinions, and that's it. You know, we don't have to hate each other, we don't have to dislike each other. You get what I'm trying to say? It's like
I was gonna say, thankfully, Messenger Revealed technically isn't a Christian. He's technically a heretic, and technically he's a Gnostic.
he worships, yeah, it's.
I get into that. He believes in Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior, and that's the definition by book of what a Christian is, a follower of Christ. Yeah, is he a heretic according to the Catholic?
Think?
Sure.
Do you think it's more or less Jesus that's important, or his message, or are they both on equal value?
In Christianity, yeah.
Because more or less, it's more like it's not Jesus the person who did it, but more or less the action that he took. It's like in the story that's presented, it's more or less the way of showing how I guess you kind of had to go through non-canonical steps.
Then if
about,
if
go
you
ahead.
believe in that, then you shouldn't be a Christian. Then you should be Jewish.
In that aspect, yeah, like he's more or less the setting example. Like the miracles he did were bestowed upon him by God because of his, I guess you want to say his righteousness and perfection.
Well, what Brett was saying last night is that Jesus is God, and God was performing the miracles, and Jesus is just the husk that God was walking around in.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
He's the, how do you say it in Hebrew? He's the vessel. He's
the sepulcher.
In Yiddish, you say "smuten aguf." It's a heavenly body and a heavenly spirit in a body, right? So he's God's, whatever God is, a soul, and then God puts himself into a body.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus, he said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." And people like
heresy. I mean, technically speaking.
I mean, if he's saying that, the way I see it, if he's saying that his life was the example for history to be remembered by, like, in his sinlessness, so to speak, you really don't get that from the Bible, but I take it from the non-canonical sense and all that.
I mean, on the one hand, Yashka was the prince of supine pacifism and just fucking letting shit happen, which is not a Jewish thing to do, to just fucking float through life like a lump of shit in a fucking river. That's the one hand, and on the other hand, he was talking about when you get to Revelation and stuff, supposedly, JC's gonna come back and he's gonna fucking burn the whole planet, and everyone's gonna fucking atone for their sins, living and dead. They're all waiting in some form of, I don't know, purgatory or something. They're waiting at the gates of hell or heaven, or technically nobody's in there yet, I guess.
It's supposed to be the gates of hell.
It's like everyone's waiting.
Sheol.
Everyone's
like down in Sheol.
Yeah, you gotta wait.
It goes back to like those Psalms or whatever, what David says about the iron gates of Sheol being going down or something like that.
It's all a bunch of Mishigash fucking nonsense. It's all a bunch of Mishigash nonsense to me. It doesn't look like it doesn't make any fucking sense to me, and it never did. That's why when I was 12, I said fuck this shit, and I became an atheist. And then I realized that like I said on the show the other night, that I realized that I threw the baby out with the bathwater, and now I gotta go grab the baby and hope that it's still okay. So that's literally, well, cause
that's true. That's usually what happens. I mean, I mean, that's like the same. I mean, that you could say that with Nakasuchi. You could do that. You could say that with any atheist, right?
I mean, listen to
they
his fucking goofy. Did you listen to his goofy fucking poetry going on about Nephilim and this and that and the weird whispering thing? I don't understand. It's some kind of fucking bongo circle thing going on there. But he was talking about the Nephilim and shit, and I was like, yeah, Jews don't believe in the fucking Nephilim. Oh, literally, anyway, that I understand. Am I off base?
Yeah, it depends. Like, I mean, if you,
Yeah, my whole understanding of Nephilim is that it doesn't necessarily take to humans, but animals as well. So a fucking giraffe could technically be a Nephilim. And that is
Well, like giants. We're talking about giants walking around that were the offspring of angels and female human women, as supposed.
That reminds me. This is another thing I want to proceed to, because it's going into it. Because have you heard about the sons of Seth mixing with the sons of Cain, John? And then that's how the sons of Seth were considered the sons of God, so to speak. So they would be considered the angels that fell from their high mountain.
Yeah.
They were living in a mountaintop, and the sons of Cain were living down in the plain lands. And then the sons of Cain were, because they didn't know the priesthood line, the Seths, they were in sin, so called, or whatever, away from God's eye, doing whatever, making a hoot and a holler. And then the sons of Seth got tempted into going down and fornicating with the daughters of Cain.
Yeah, that's
And then
mythology.
you added a lot of garbage to that.
Boom, crash society,
But,
and then they became kings or whatever. But I don't know.
sons of God are the sons of Adam. I mean, Adam was.
Oh, your mic cut out.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear him.
Well, that's basically that's what it basically means that the sons of God mated with the daughters of men, is that you had the descendants of Adam, which were the sons of God, which were the righteous people, and then you had people that weren't so good.
I can't hear anybody. Maybe it's me.
Oh,
You guys hear me okay?
Can you hear me right now at all?
Hold up. Let me exit out.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest. That happens to me all the time too. It's something with this server.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Yeah, it happens in the server sometimes. I don't know what the deal is.
It's master, and it just has to clean up, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, anyway, so John's gonna start it again and answer your question.
Thank you.
The basic Jewish answer is yes. There's two lines. The sons of God, which is Adam, because Adam was literally the son of God, and everyone descended from him is the son of God. And then they mated with people who weren't necessarily righteous or necessarily godly, right? Godly, righteous, sort of the same thing, I guess. It's not necessary. Well, I mean, are you holy and because you're holy, you're righteous, or are you righteous because you're holy? Not necessarily, but for the same usually. And then you had people that were doing, and that's what it really means. Is just human beings who were doing good things started mating with people who aren't doing good things, and that's just the basic Jewish answer. It has nothing to do with angels. Angels don't. First of all, angels, which is added to the Judaism, which is additive, right? It's not from. There's nowhere in the Bible because it talks about angels. But if you believe in angels and you believe in angelology, right, there's a problem. Angels don't have penises. Angels don't have vaginas. Angels don't have reproductive organs. They can't reproduce. So you can't have them producing offspring. It doesn't. So you have to look up. You got to Google. Go Google angels. And learn that. Oh, they don't have to tell you. I mean, it's a big goof in the movie Dogma with fucking George Carlin. He makes fun of Matt Damon. He doesn't have a cock. He's like a Ken doll. They make a joke about it.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing is that this idea comes from shit like Zeus and what was it with Sleipnir and the fucking rainbow horse with the Norse mythology where fucking all this magical impregnation versus an actual physical coitus taking place. It's not physically possible. So, and in Christian mythology, this is brought further to the what is it? The Immaculate Conception. I always get these two confused. One's the virgin birth, the other's Immaculate Conception, and they're two different concepts. But at any rate, You get what I'm trying to say, right? I mean, that the idea that
Well,
Zeus
right, it's
can
from Gentile Greek mythology. It's carried over. I mean, how did Hercules? How was Hercules born? Hercules was born from the Greek god. What was his father? One of the Greek gods, and they came down and had sex with a mortal woman,
is.
and and Hercules. So that's why he was half man, half god,
I think that
because
technically, he his both of his parents were gods. I think it was Zeus and Hera, and then he was dipped in some mortality juice or something. Or maybe I'm thinking of Achilles. I fuck it. I don't know.
Didn't you watch the Disney movie Hades came and poisoned him? Come on now.
I don't fucking know. I try to follow it.
Didn't you watch the Disney? Come on now.
But it's not practical. It's not practical intercourse, is what I'm trying to say. So, and in Judaism, we deal with the practical mostly.
Zeus a goddess wife. Okay, I'm trying to find, but that's
What do you have you heard of the claims of like
oh,
the giants and
Hercules' wife was a human woman. Not that he was mother was human woman.
yeah, Mega whatever, Megala whatever.
Yeah,
Remember
right.
his name. Um, but
Well, that plays in the Nephilim. So the Nephilim came in, the gods come down, the angels, and they mated with
well,
human women. It's Greek.
yeah,
It
well,
doesn't. It's not Jewish.
they talk about when you know as these two copulated, like the offspring that was born were giants, right? And
Who's
so these offspring that was born between the two, the sons of Seth and like I guess the sons of
oh
Cain, as I would describe
yeah,
them.
yeah. The translates as giants. There were giants among men.
Right,
And
but does
sorry,
that
sorry.
literally mean, because there are different accounts of fucking, I think something like
Well,
Moses was 100 feet tall or whatever.
I'm trying to bring this up because there's something along the lines of other cultures have the talks of like battles with giants and all that. And it's even mentioned a little later on in the in the Bible, like the people of Og and things of that were seen, I believe, almost as giants. And I think people would say, like the Christians would say, the Amalekites, I believe. I might be wrong on that one. We had some of the Nephilim or giant offspring or something along those lines within them. But it goes on like there's an actual non-canonical thing called like the Book of the Giant, and it speaks of. It reminds me of like Middle Earth crap, or where you have these like beings fighting over their family rights because and God's just like I'm having none of this
Well, the
because
fucking okay, so in the Bible,
illegitimate.
it describes Moses as being 9 cubits tall, which is 13.5 feet tall, which is, I mean, what's a fucking giant? If you look at a lot of what they when they're talking about heights and stuff, I'm not sure that this is a literal and like he was fucking 15 feet tall. How tall was his wife? Well, she was fucking 6 feet tall. Well, how does that work dimensionally? You know what I mean? It's like trying to solve some kind of
I think
complicated
the
X-rated
problem is
puzzle.
the problem is that you're looking at you're trying to find secular answers for the Torah and what the Bible says,
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
and that's where so the, let's be honest, like everything in the Torah comes from let me put it this way. Let me put it down to real talk. The Torah is just secular sources that are Jewish. That's all it is, right? The Adam and Eve story, the flood story, even the story of Moses. They come from Babylon mythology. It comes from ancient, Levant Canaanite mythology, right? Noah's flood is basically a Sumerian story about the god Ur and flooding the world. Take two of animals and put it on a boat. And it's the same thing. The Sargon of Akkad, right? Sargon of Akkad. He's an Akkadian. The Babylonians are going to come wipe out his tribe. So his mother puts him in the basket, sends him up the Euphrates rivers and saves him. And then the king's daughter finds him, raises him one of his own. And then when he finds the plot that they're going to wipe out his own people, he finds out that he's his own people. he finds out that he's actually one of them, and he leads a rebellion and frees his people. That's the exact story of what's in the Torah. Of Moses finds out, well, he's not really an Egyptian; he's really a Hebrew, right? And he leads the slaves to freedom. So what's the answer? The answer is the Torah tries to make these mythological stories practical, makes it into like um, it makes it into something that's meaningful for the group of people called the Jewish people. It gives us, right? It's sort of, we take these stories, right? There could be gods, there could be gods that exist and doing all the Nephilim and all the giants and wars and all this. It could have existed, but we take these stories and we kosher it. We make them kosher. We make them practical, right? What's the reason why the flood story in the Bible? The flood story is a story that's supposed to teach us that God put the world in a baptism, right? The world was dunked in the pool, right? Basically, that's the story of the flood. He baptized the world. Okay, what's the story of Adam and Eve? What's the moral of the story? How humans come to be, to make choices. Why do we have this inclination to do bad things? Because there's something in us, a talking snake, an evil inclination that makes us want to do bad. Right? That's, we took that story and we say, oh, that's a great story. Let's use it for Judaism. Oh, the story of the flood. Oh, that makes sense because we have a mikvah and we believe in baptism. So let's bring that story in. Oh, the Moses story. Oh, that's a really good story. That makes a lot of sense. It's about freeing slaves and making people, every man's equal. Oh, let's add that to the canon. So that's what we did. That's what the Jewish people did. Now that's one way of looking at it. Now obviously I'm a religious Jew, and I believe, well, really it's really the Torah is, that's really where the source of it is, and everyone else gets it from the Torah. But either way you look at it, that's how it works. That's how it's supposed to be seen. It's the stories that are in the Bible are copied from the secular stories, and then now because you see a secular story, you're going, "Oh, there's giants, and I found bones. This must be the answer." No, it may be the answer, it may not be the answer.
Wow, you're really wrecking everyone's fucking worldview. Honestly, that was fucking hateful there for a minute. Then you were like, but I actually believe that, this stuff. I was like, oh, thank God.
So,
I fucking.
yeah, you have to. So that's the premise. You have to. I mean, the answer is you have to take it on faith. Is Judaism true to the Jewish people? Absolutely. Do we do Torah mitzvahs because they're beneficial? Yes, that's the whole spiel earlier about the Shema, the rains and planting and
So
harvesting. Go
I'll
ahead.
just interject you because actually got to get going here in about like 2 minutes ago, but that's okay. Because like I said, I enjoy these conversations and we're having, I love them. So this is awesome. Thank you, Will. And you
Yeah, no
too,
problem.
for being able to indulge me like this.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. But you said one would have to take it in faith, and but by me, faith isn't something one believes, but faith is something an action do. So by faith, you show your faith by your actions. It's the only way to show faith is by your actions, is
So
to
there's a
do faith
difference
by
between a
your
muna and a bikion. So what you're saying is more of bikun, bikuin. I can never pronounce. It's a chet and a un, and
actions.
I can't really say it in Hebrew. It's difficult to say. But it's a difference between. Yeah, I get what you're saying. You got to get going, so I don't want to keep you too long. But I get what you're saying. I understand.
Okay.
I get it.
All right.
But
All
Judaism
right
and
then.
separate
Yeah.
things. But thank you. It was a good.
All right.
It was a good.
All right. Thank you guys. You guys have a wonderful one.
Yeah, you too, man. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks.
Like
Bye.
you have Amuna, you have faith, right? So for Will,
Yeah.
what he's saying is that when he does something, right? He's saying when he lives his life and he does action, it's because he believes that they're accurate and true, right? But that's not what Imuna is, right? That's BQ. That's Bitcoin. I can never pronounce the word. Just Google it. But right? So Amuna means that you have un you have trust, right? What he's saying is trust, basically. I trust that this outcome is correct, right? Observable evidence, right? I know if I add 2 plus 2, it's always gonna be equal 4. I have trust that the laws of mathematics, whatever that you refer to that, will work every time, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I sit down in a chair. I have faith that the chair's not going to break on me because I've done it many times before, right? Okay. But there's something about the amuna is when we do things without any. We have no back. You can't prove it one way or another. I can never show someone. I can't show someone the grave of Moses. I can never. I can't show someone. Here's the original tablets of testimony where God Himself inscribed the Torah. I can't do it. I, I can't do it. No one can do it. Now some people can come up and go, well, it says that it's buried underneath the temple and King Solomon hid it, and then some people will go, well, the Catholic Church stole it and the Vatican has it. Wonderful, great, excellent. Can't show it. You can't do it.
Well, what about something a little more innocuous, like just having faith that everything's gonna work out all right because you trust in Hashem?
That's what he was saying.
Oh, okay. So that's
right. You had. There's a difference between faith and trust in Judaism.
okay.
Of course, you have trust. We have trust in Hashem because why? Because God will never let us down. Absolutely, amen. But there are things that you do in life that you have faith, right? You have to take it on faith. As a Jew, I can't ever prove to someone, that, there's a literal God that exists. I can't prove God. You have to just believe in faith that God exists. Why? Because then you can go on. Okay, I believe in God because I live my life. I live by these laws, these mitzvot, these commandments, and it seems to work out. Okay, I'm treating my brother with respect. I'm living life to the fullest. I'm doing what I have to do, and it seems like okay, God, right? I can say like, you know what, this can lead me to God as an answer. But you can never determine that as a legitimate really reason that this God exists. You can't go, well, because things work out, God exists. Because an atheist can come along and go, well, that's just that's just the way things are, like knock, what
Yeah.
are you talking about, cupcake, I apologize. We got Jesus freak with a motorcycle outside. Sorry, I apologize.
It's okay. They're all over the damn place here too.
But yeah, I mean, I get what I mean, it's difficult. I mean, these stories, I sometimes wish this is between us and everyone that's watching. I'll tell you a secret. I sometimes wish the Torah didn't have the stories in them. I sometimes wish the Torah didn't really talk about Adam and Eve and Noah and animals, and it didn't really talk about Moses and the wanderings of the desert. Because it's almost like it gives people an out. It gives Christians an out. Some goy can come along and say, "Well, see this story? It's an allegory to Jesus Christ." You see,
Yeah, it's kind of almost like a distraction from the actual fucking message.
Yeah, it's a shame. Not a shame because Baruch Hashem, God's good, and God wrote the Torah the way it is, and it must be a reason, right? Maybe God does want people to have that as an outlet. I don't know, but for me personally, I sometimes wish it wasn't there because it makes what Judaism is the commandment, right? Thou shalt do this, thou shalt do that. It's a legal system. It's a ruling. It's a court, and all the legal rulings are logical and reasonable, other than the ones about not mixing fibers and why can't I put cheese on a meat on a hamburger patty? Does that really bother God? Like I get questions like that all the time. Why does God care about whether or not I put cheese on my hamburger? Why does God care about the fibers I have in my clothing? They're mixed or not? So the answer to that is everything that we do in life is physical. It's like asking me, why does God care whether or not I murder? Why does God care whether or not I steal? It's either you do it or you don't do it, right?
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, I can give secular answers to those fucking questions, but I can't give religious answers to those questions why God would say something like that and then have modern people carry on like that. Because it's just like the pork thing and the shellfish with the trichinosis and all the worms that live in the belly of the pig and the whole thing, and why did they, why unleavened bread? Well, yeast is a bacteria, etc., etc. Why don't you eat bats, for example? That's a fucking given at this point. I mean, with this fucking coronavirus, I think that's pretty much a given now. And then things like, why don't you eat meat and dairy? Well, because milk it curdles and it carries bacteria and it gets into your. It changes because of the temperature of the meat, because meat has to be cooked hot. And you see what I'm saying? I can give secular answers to these fucking questions, but I can't say, oh, it's because a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, God had an argument with an angel over meat and dairy. I cannot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So when you realize that these laws, the Torah, were giving to a group of people who were nomads, who lived as an agrarian society of being farmers, right? The two different choices between Cain and Abel, right? Cain was he raised crops, and Abel raised sheep and goats, animal, right? Husbandry. So these are the two different types of Jews that you had for thousands and thousands of years. Now all of a sudden, okay, now you throw a Jew in Europe with a bunch of goyim, and then you tell them, okay, well, guess what? You're a second-class citizen. You can't own land. You can't be a farmer. You can't own anything. You can never own property. But you know what? We'll let we let you do money because we don't like money because money's evil. And then you can do the money thing. Well, what does Torah have to do with money? Okay, there's some commandments that say, if your brother's poor, give him give him a loan. If don't steal when you're selling merchandise. Sure, but it doesn't give us banking. This is why Jews get shit, right? Because technically speaking, the Bible doesn't say anything about how to bank. So technically, a Jew can do whatever he wants. If a Jew really technically wants to, he can. Well, actually, he couldn't do this. So this is a bad example. I was going to give the example of if he wants to run the bank any type of shit show that he wants. But technically speaking, usury is
it's prohibited. Yeah,
it's prohibited. So Jews shouldn't get shit for that. But when the Jews do things like that, like when they say the banking system charges 30% interest on a credit card, that is technically violation of Torah. And this is why if you look up on Google and you type in some questions to rabbis, they ask rabbis, is it permissible for a Jew to have a credit card, or is it permissible for a religious Jew to own a bank? And most rabbis will tell you that it is not. You're not allowed to own a credit card. Because why? Because you're paying 30% interest on fees. You're being used. You can't own a bank because if you own a bank, you're going to have to play the game, and because you play the game, you're going to have to charge people interest, and that's a violation. So technically speaking, banks aren't kosher, right? So now here's the question. Here's a monkey wrench in the law. Why was it then the Jews accepted this? Why did Jews become bankers? And so they got around it. That's why they invented things like check. The check was invented by a Jew, right? An IOU was invented by a Jew. Paper money was invented by a Jew. So these were sort of loopholes that they tried to implement to get around some of these bad issues. Because paper money is usually supposed to be backed up by gold. This is how it was done in the olden days. So if you had 1-to-1, right? If you had $100 bill, right, $101 bills, and you had 100 gold pieces, it was equal. So you traded it, right? A Jew can go here, here's your money. I write you a check. Here's your paper. We're doing this business, and it's getting around the whole interest, and it's getting around the whole. We're finding loopholes. But then, then of course the Pope is going to twist your arm, and the King Louis is going to twist your arm and say, I want to fund my military, Jew. I want you to write a contract and raise taxes now. And then when everything goes bad, the Jews to blame. Right? It's a scapegoat. It becomes the Jews to blame, and this is what these Christians used to do for thousands of years. They the king, right? These Gentile kings, they would fleece their country. Millions of dollars, whatever the currency is, ducats, what they used to call back then, and they would blame, I have a Jewish merchant as my banker, he's the one that did it, and then they would kill him, and then round up all the Jews in the city, and then killed them too, because of course guilt by association. That's what knockoffs do too. And then Shay, and then they all kill each other, right? You're friends with Will, delete from the server, right? This kind of tactic, right? This is the tactic that they play, right? So this is what the Jews had to face for thousands of years, right?
Right.
So it has nothing to do with Torah, is my point.
Right.
This has nothing to do with Torah. So you can't. This is why people are running around nowadays trying to figure out answers to modern day society using a that has to deal with agriculture. They can't go to. They don't go together. They never did go together.
Right. Now, I was going to interrupt you in the middle of your thing, but I decided that you were on a... Yeah, I'll interrupt you now that you're done talking, right? That's how interrupting works. No, but I was going to say, the way I read the Cain and Abel story is that Abel raised animals, and the way that I read it anyway as a kid was that the reason that that God didn't like Cain's sacrifice wasn't because he didn't work hard in the fields. It's because he found shit that was already growing, and he threshed it and offered it as a sacrifice. When Abel had to actually raise his livestock, it had nothing to do with the difference between meat and vegetables. So
that's kind of like a basic Christian answer, and that's not necessarily what it was.
No,
Jewish perspective is that Cain gave his sacrifice in vain. Abel knew that he was lucky to have anything at all. That God was the source of everything. So the fact that he had lamb, sheep, and goats was due to the grace of God. So he said, "You know what, God, I'm going to give you everything I have, because if I wouldn't have anything without you anyway." Cain thought that he did everything himself, that he was his own made man, that it was because he planted the seed in the ground and because he watered it and he made sure it got sun, that it grew to be big. So he gave it in vain. He says, "You know what? Why should I give God anything when I did all the work?" So it's two different mentalities. Abel had the mentality of, "Look, I might not have anything. It's only due to God that I have." Cain says, "No, it's all due to me. It's my work. Me, 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 me." He didn't say, "You know what, God?" And God goes on to give him the answer, because it says later on, God says, "Look, change the way you think. You have sin knocking on your front door, and you acting like an evil person. You're gonna let this evil in because you're acting evil." It's sort of like, again, cause and effect. If you're walking around with a puss on your face with an attitude, you're gonna get into fights. But if you're walking around with a smile on your face, you're gonna get hugs. Cause and effect. So because Cain acted like a mean person, he sinned because he stepped into a trap. Abel walked around like, everything's good, I'm great, so God accepted it.
There you go.
Baruch Hashem.
Well, I didn't get when you're a Christian, you don't really get good answers to these questions. Plus, they're incomplete because they have incomplete information in the damn books, because they're translated and mistranslated, and people.
I think the Christian will just say, Abel gave up sheep to the God, and sheep represents Jesus, and it's just an allegory.
Yeah, they would give me shitty answers like that all the time, and I'd never heard that God actually gave the answer to that question. I never hear the end of that story, and now I've heard this. I think this will be the first time that I've heard the ending to that story that God says, "Change your fucking mentality," more or less.
Well, Cain actually has a happy end. Like, people don't read the rest of the story of Genesis, and it says that Cain went on to be the founder of a city. Wait a minute. God says that because you sinned, your punishment is you're going to be a wanderer and you're never going to have a home. Wait a minute. How can a wanderer that never has a home build a city and have families and be a mayor? I mean, basically went on to be a mayor. I thought he was supposed to be a wanderer, cursed. So obviously he did teshuvah along the way. He repented along the way and was forgiven. Like, people miss that. Like, you could be forgiven.
Right. Well, I think probably they have to do with the fact that the Christians need Jesus to exist as the foundation for their whole religion. So if God can just forgive people willy-nilly, then there's no reason to believe in Jesus.
Right.
Nimat Shemot. But
Right.
Yep.
The whole concept of Jesus is a contradiction. It doesn't make sense. I mean, why? First of all, you don't need blood to be forgiven by God. I mean, the Torah. I mean, if you just read the Torah, and it says clearly that if you're too poor to give an offering of a sheep or a goat, you can bring the Levites bread, or you can volunteer. You can volunteer. You can give your time. You can donate your time. Like there's other ways to be forgiven. Like that doesn't involve blood.
Right. And
And
this
then
is
and then the Christians will use things like, well, he's our Passover lamb. He's the lamb of the. Wait a minute. According to the story of the lamb of Passover, the lamb represents evil. The lamb represents Egypt. Are you trying to say that Jesus is an Egyptian pagan god sacrificed on the behalf of the Creator? That doesn't make sense to me.
Horus and Ra and Anubis and that whole fucking story. He goes down to
They
the land.
completely miss the point. They completely don't even. They miss it completely.
Yeah, it's just a long game of fucking telephone for thousands of years, and nobody actually knows. There's a whole point in history where Jews were walking around knowing and having a language and having a written language that everyone spoke and knew because that's how Torah is. And the Christians at the time period there were plenty of illiterate people who were being led around by other people who knew what was in the book and told people what was in the book, and it changed on a daily basis and on a cultural basis based on, because they get their authority from God, so called, that they just basically changed it to fit their needs of their village or their their hamlet or their kingdom or whatever. So because nobody could fucking read. Meanwhile, we're still wandering around. We have a spoken and a written language that everybody knows and understands, at least. Even if you're in a foreign land, you still know Hebrew if you're a Jew in that period of time. So it's all been, like I was saying before, it's all been altered by people in the 16th century rewriting this bullshit, and King James and all this nonsense with the Mishigash with what is and isn't apocryphal, and letters that was written between 50 and 500 years after the death of so-called fucking Jesus Christ Imat Shemo. And it's all editorialized by people who are just coming into a language like the Shakespearean English is a thing, and so they color it with their poetic words, like one in the hand is worth two in the bush, and things like that. So you get somebody painted over the Torah with something completely unrecognizable. That's what happened. Did the fucking thing drop? It did. Yep. Hold on. I'll be right back. I'll fix it.
Understand, especially from the secular world, from the non-Jewish world, how difficult it is to write a Torah scroll. You have to literally copy it from another Torah scroll exactly the way it is. And people don't understand when you actually look at a Torah that the letters it's not written like a book. It's not written with and then God created the world. Okay. Like the way the letters are shaped and how big the letters are and the special dots. Sometimes there's extra dots and extra words. People don't realize that those all have significant meanings. So when you read an English translation from a book, you're missing out on the whole culture. You're missing out on the whole translation, not just the translation, but you're missing out on what the actual Torah scroll actually looks like. So when you look at in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, it doesn't just simply God in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The way the letters are spaced, the way the letters are large, one's tiny. Why there's no capital and lowercase in Hebrew, right? There's no such thing as that. So then the question becomes, why is this letter twice the size of this letter next to another letter that's half the size and another twice the size over here? And because there's a message in that. And that never gets translated. A Christian will never know that. So, that's a sad thing about that. And when you don't have that, I don't really know how else to add. It's like you're missing on 90% of what's going on.
There's nuances in the message that's being communicated through the calligraphy and the variants and the variations in how each specific character is formed.
Yeah, right.
Nuances that are missed in a simple plain English translation. So that's what he's saying. If you didn't understand any of that, but
The Torah that we have now was never changed. So the modern Torah that we have was probably came around the era of Eliezer, which was probably the end of Judges, the end of the Judge period. You know, Deborah and Samson. That so right after they passed away, we probably had they had the final books written the way they were, and from since then, that's about less than 3,000 years old. So the Torah is less than 3,000 years old, and that's never been changed. Like what you're saying, like every translation of the Christian Bible has gone through so many different translations and changes. It's unrecognizable. But the Torah has pretty much stayed the same since since that period, since the Judge era. So
right. And that's just a cultural difference between keeping practices of religion and stuff. Where it comes down to is there's really all Jews. Yeah, right. What it comes down to is that there's no this and that Judaism. They're all Jews, right? But there's a million different kinds of Christians, and the Catholics and the Baptists and the Methodists and the Mormons and the Lutherans and the Episcopalians. They all argue over, bullshit, and they all call themselves different kinds of Christianity. And sometimes they'll say, Mormon's not a Christian, a Catholic's not a Christian,
Right, they're heretics and they're unbelievers, and they're going to be killed and die, and they're going to hell, and you have all this garbage. And you can believe whatever you can believe in, you want to believe in, I should say, and they're still a Jew. They're still a Jew. You'll never depart from your Jewishness. So, that's why we have so many different customs in Judaism.
Right.
It's beautiful. You have Polish Jews, you have Russian Jews, you have Ukrainian Jews, you also have Ethiopian Jews, you have Middle Eastern Jews, Iraqi, Iran.
Right, you've got a Minhagim and you've got a Masorah and you've got the whole fucking thing.
Right, so Masorah is what's been handed down by your father.
Right.
Certain family things that a Jew may do that may not be relevant to the community. And you have Minhagim, which is community, things that have been passed down. And then, but on top of that, you have halacha, which is what's mandatory. Are you a Jew? Are you circumcised? Which is mandatory for male. Do you keep Shabbos? Do you eat kosher? Like these are a must, right? Do you believe in heaven? Do you believe in hell? These are things that you don't have to believe in. You can, but you're not mandatory. It's not mandatory, as such.
There you go.
So as long as you believe in the meat of it all, you accept the meat of it all, you're allowed to disagree with everything else. Now, don't get me wrong. You should have respect. You can't go to a shul or synagogue and go, "Oh, your beliefs are just a midhag. Your beliefs are just Masorah. I don't care." You're gonna get kicked out of the shul. You're gonna be ostracized. They're not gonna treat you right. So you do have to have respect. That should go both ways, right? As long as you can do what you have to do and they have to do what they have to do, and you accept each other as Jews, that's it. But you never find it in the Muslim. You never find it in the Christian.
Right. Well, that's the other thing that's important to understand. Is new people coming into Judaism, or some people that are like just dipping their toe in the Jew pool. That I know everyone wants to do it their own way, and they say, well, there's nothing in Torah that says that I have to wash my hands, 3 times or 3 times a day with all this stuff, and then, people, break balls over it, where it's like, oh well, like you said, it's just your Masorah, it's your Migad, and the whole thing. But think about it this way: if you had your own shul, and let's say you're a rabbi or some, whatever, and and somebody came in and broke your balls over your, Masori, your Miyag, or whatever, you would probably be a little fucking irritated as well, and you probably wouldn't be, so you gotta respect that if you're gonna, participate in the culture anyway. So, and it's a good majority of being a Jew is culture, but there's also that's all. It's a hodgepodge of things. Ultimately it's it's the religious, Hashem. It's the law, but there's yeah.
Barbara Streisand is Jewish, right?
All right.
She's a God. She hates God. She's a how can I put this? She actively fights against God. And she actively fights against the Bible. She's an anti-theist, right? That's what they're called, right?
Right.
She still circumcised her son. They still had a Brit Milah. They still had a bar mitzvah. The son had a bar mitzvah, right? I think they did, right?
All right.
There's something about us Jews that, even though we hate God, we tell him to go F himself, but we're still there. We're still there. It's funny. It's another example would be after the Holocaust. A lot of the survivors. They actually made a movie about this called God on Trial. The Holocaust. All these Jews, these survivors. They put God on trial. They basically, brought all this evidence in a mock trial. They said, look, judges, this is the evidence that God's a piece of shit. God let not 6 million Jews be killed by Germans. God's a piece of shit. God's this, God's that. How could he do this? Where was he? Does God exist? There's no, right? As soon as the trial was over, they convicted God for his atrocities, for not being there for the Jewish people, not doing anything for injustice, not doing it when evil was happening. Not to mention there was 7 million non-Jews that died in the Holocaust as well, plus the 50 million people who were German, who were English, who were Russian, who had to fight and kill each other in the military. I mean, that's just as evil as people dying in the Holocaust. You're talking about hundreds of millions of people died for nothing. And they convicted God, and you can watch this movie. It's a good movie. God on Trial, and they convicted. And you know what they did after they found him guilty? They said, "Have a nice day. Okay, it's 6 o'clock. It's time to pray. It's time to go to Minyan. It's time to be Jewish." And, okay, we get it.
That's a funny story.
It is a funny story, and it's a real story. It's a very sad story. It's something about us Jews. I mean, if you take the story, and this goes back all the way to Moses. It goes back all the way to Abraham. When God told Abraham, "I'm going to exterminate Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm going to wipe them out. I don't like these people are evil. Fuck them." And Abraham says, "What type of a God commits genocide? How you're telling me to go on a mission to convert people to you, to get people to believe in you, and here are you raining brimstone down on cities and killing thousands of people." God says to Moses, "These Israelites, they're too much trouble. I can't get them to behave. I just freed them from Egypt, and they're sinning, and they're sinning, and they're sinning. I'm going to exterminate the Jewish people, and I'm going to make a new people with you, Moses." And then Moses goes, "What type of a God does that? What type of a God would free a people from bondage just to kill them in the desert?" And I think this is an intrinsic thing about a Jew. I think Jews, I think there's something in us that we can see things that are happening, and we have so much faith, we have so much belief in Hashem that we just, it's overpowering. It's just like, that's the go-to answer. You get what I'm trying to say? Like when something bad happens, we go, "God, where were you?" Or something good happens and we say, "Baruch Hashem, thank God." When a child is born, we say, "This is a blessing from God." Or someone gets hit by a car, we say, "Oh God, why did this happen?" It's just like, it's something about us that no matter where we are, no matter what we believe in politically, religiously, you're still somewhat attached to this higher calling, this higher power, this entity above us. whether you're an atheist or not, from a Jewish perspective, we're still there. We're still showing up. We're still sojourning, and I think that's a very beautiful thing. And I don't really know what to call it. I haven't developed a name for it yet, but it's a really weird thing that the Jewish people have. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say? From Abraham to Moses to Barbara Streisand to that movie God on Trial, us Jews, we can be logical and rational about it. We can say this is a tragedy. Wasn't God supposed to be here? Where was he? Why didn't he show up? Why didn't he save us? And I think that's where Christianity comes along, and it's a nice little story. God did show up. God showed up, and then he was, he got his ass kicked in by the Romans and nailed to a 2x4. But he did it for you because he's there and he wants to love you. It's like, but that's not part of the narrative, though. That the Jewish people never really came up with that as an answer. That's what we always sort of like understood that God was there. And we can argue with God, and we can haggle with God, and we can debate with God, but we always understood our place. At the end of the day, we're not there to, how could, we don't know what God knows. Maybe God's doing the right thing. Who knows?
That's an excellent point.
But anyway,
yeah.
I apologize.
No, it's fine. I like it when you let your Jew flag fly. You get out here, you talk all year. But it's good. I didn't expect this to turn into a religious discussion today. I was just going to talk nonsense and make a few egg jokes, a few leg jokes, a few jokes about somebody's sunburnt forehead, But the fact that he can't swim. Apparently he can swim just fine. I'll race him. I'll do it. I have faith. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap the show because I got to get a little nap in before dinner, and then I'm going to eat, and then I got to go to work. So it was great having everyone here. Lo, just sitting on the shelf as usual. Always a pleasure. And John, for enlightening us all about Judaism and what Shabbat Shalom. All right. And Lo's dead. Are you going to say goodbye, Lo? No, okay. All right, we're signing out.